All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about something millions of people use every single day for things like asthma and COPD, the simple inhaler. But here's the thing, there's this huge hidden problem at its core, and honestly, the data is kind of shocking. So let's get into it.
Okay, so first up, I just want you to look at this number, 86%. Just let that sit there for a second. What on earth do you think that represents? Nope, you're looking at it. A staggering 86% of asthma and COPD patients make at least just one mistake when using their inhaler. We're not talking about a small, niche problem here. This is a massive, totally overlooked issue that's hiding in plain sight. And believe me, it has some really serious consequences. So yeah, that brings us to our first big point. We're calling this a hidden health crisis for a reason. See, inhalers, they're the absolute cornerstone of treatment for these conditions. But, and this is a big but, their effectiveness is not a sure thing. That little plastic device looks simple, but using it correctly, it's way more complex than you think. And get this, check out this quote from the major international guidelines. It basically signals this huge shift in how we think about respiratory care. It's telling us that the problem might not be the drug itself, it's how the drug is delivered. The device is just as important as the medicine inside it. Wild, right?
Okay, so how do we wrap our heads around this? Well, this whole complex problem really boils down to two main things. Two core failures we're going to look at: adherence versus technique. So it's not just one problem, it's two totally different ways this can all go wrong. And this slide, wow, it just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got adherence. That's basically asking, are you even using it when you're supposed to? And the data is pretty bleak. Only about half of patients do. But then you have technique. This is about, okay, when you do use it, are you using it the right way? And bam, that's where our 86% number comes roaring back.
So what does good technique even mean? Let's take this standard meter dose inhaler, the classic puffer that everyone pictures. It really comes down to 4 key steps. You gotta shake it, then breathe out completely. Now here's the tricky part. You have to breathe in slowly at the exact same time you press the canister. And finally, hold your breath for a good 5 to 10 seconds. Sounds simple on paper, right? But getting that timing, that whole dance, perfect every single time, yeah, that's a huge challenge. And here's where it all tends to fall apart. These are the top 5 ways that simple 4-step dance goes wrong. And we're not talking about little slip-ups here. The source material calls them critical errors. Why? Because they literally stop the medicine from getting where it needs to go, deep into your lungs. Like that poor coordination, that means the medicine just smacks the back of your throat and stays there. Useless.
Okay, so why should we care? What's the big deal? Well, it matters a ton, because these seemingly small errors, they kick off this huge domino effect. We're talking about the high cost of misuse, and it hits us right in our health and in our wallets. Big time.
I mean, just look at the health outcomes. They're pretty stark. Researchers estimate that something like 70% of severe asthma attacks are tied directly to patients not taking their medicine right. And for folks with COPD, not taking it as prescribed jacks up the risk of a severe attack by a whopping 40%. The craziest part? These are preventable events. They don't have to happen. And the cost in dollars? You ready for this? The high-end estimate for the annual economic burden just in the United States is $15 billion. That's just an incredible amount of wasted money, all driven by ER visits, hospital stays, and extra prescriptions that could have been avoided. But wait, there's another hidden cost. It's a clinical one. Imagine this. A patient isn't getting better. So what does their doctor do? They probably assume the medicine isn't strong enough, right? So they escalate. They prescribe a stronger, more expensive drug. But here's the kicker. What if the first drug was totally fine? What if the real problem was just that the patient wasn't using the inhaler right? You've got a delivery failure being mistaken for a treatment failure. That's a huge problem. I mean, this timeline right here is just, wow. It's stunning. Back in the 1980s, studies were already showing high rates of patient error. So you'd think, okay, we've had 40 years to get better at this, right? Wrong. Fast forward to today, and big reviews find that the error rates are basically the same, unchanged. All those pamphlets, all those 5-minute demos in the doctor's office, for 40 years, they haven't moved the needle at all. So why? Why hasn't all that education worked? Well, the source material points to this brilliant concept called the feedback gap, and it makes so much sense.
Think about it. If you're learning to shoot a basketball, you get instant feedback, right? You see the ball go in or miss. But with an inhaler, patients are just flying completely blind. There's no buzzer, no score, no way of knowing, hey, you nailed it, or oops, you messed that one up. And without that feedback loop, it's pretty much impossible to fix bad habits you don't even know you have. So if education isn't the answer, what is? How do we finally break this 40-year-long stalemate? Well, the path forward, according to the source material, is digital. This is where technology finally steps in to give us that feedback we've been missing for decades. And this chart just lays it out so clearly. The old way, it was all based on a patient's fuzzy memory. Yeah, I think I took it. And maybe a quick check-in at the doctor's office once a year. The new way, with digital monitoring, we're talking objective sensor data, a technique check on every single use, and feedback that is instant and actually useful. It's a total shift from pure guesswork to hard data. And the best part? The data shows this new approach actually works. We're not just guessing here. Clinical trials have shown real, measurable improvements. We're talking about an 18% jump in people taking their meds on time and a 26% drop in those critical inhalation errors. Now, those are the kinds of numbers that lead directly to better health, fewer hospital visits, and lower costs for everyone. And that really brings us to our final thought, and it's a big one. The real promise of this tech isn't just about catching mistakes. It's about finally closing that feedback gap we talked about. It's about taking these invisible actions and making them visible, turning them into patterns we can learn from. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What if every single breath could help us learn? Thanks so much for tuning in.